All right, hello, wine-drinking people. Time of more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and a busy year so far, 2012. Drinking the world's greatest wines and telling our wine-drinking people about it. One of our MOs here at the Wine Watch. This tasting just sprung up on the calendar. We had put it up there a week before the event and had a waiting list for it. 2009, 2010, two phenomenal vintages throughout France, throughout Europe, throughout most of the world. 2009, very good in California as well. And, well, 2009, typical of the rest of France, the Chateauneuf de Papes in their wonderfully forward and drinkable nature. And 2010, a very classic vintage, a vintage that you could put aside in your cellar for 30, 40, 50 years or more for most of the great regions in France. I'm talking about Bordeaux, Burgundy, and of course the Rhone Valley, one of the few areas that Robert Parker still writes about today, the Rhone Valley and Bordeaux. He has kept because these are two of the most precious wines in his opinion. I would have to agree. I think most Francophiles that collect wines have Bordeaux and Rhone wines in their cellar because the Syrah, Grenache blends of the Southern Rhone do very well with some bottle age. And you know, you're really talking about Grenache in the south of the Southern Rhone, but they do have other grapes, 13 of them to be exact, in Chateauneuf de Papes, 8 red and 5 white that you can legally use. And we got one wine on the table that has all 13. It doesn't have the exact makeup on it, but I know for a fact Beaucastel, that's one of their claims to fame. They still use all 13 varietals in every vintage. All right, well, to start out, you know, the Southern Rhone, Côte de Rhone is the most popular wine down here. This is supposed to be a simple wine, but there are a lot of great Côte de Rhone today. This Domaine de Genasse, Terre d'Argile, a single vineyard Côte de Rhone from a vineyard area that lies just outside the Chateauneuf de Papes DOC, so you can't, or AOC, so you know, they couldn't call it Chateauneuf de Papes. If it was on the other side of the street, they could have called it Chateauneuf de Papes. But this wine is mostly Grenache, 55%. The rest is mostly Mourvedre and a touch of Carignan. You do get a little bit of that animal note you get from the Mourvedre, and lovely sweet ripe black cherry, black raspberry coulis-like fruit in this wine. An array of fresh flowers, soy and brown spices here as well on the nose. Juicy fruit on the tongue. Those ripe round tannins and wonderful freshness through the finish. Those perfumey floral notes, that garrigue-like quality sweet herbs showing up in a nicely balanced finish. Really wonderful bottle of Côte de Rhone and the best value by far on the table this evening. A wine that usually we send an offer out on. We do still have a little bit left. Not much, though. These 2009s going quick. The Roger Sabon Chateauneuf de Papes Cuvée Reserve. Sorry. This is another Eric Solomon wine. A little more classic style. And, you know, there was people that didn't like either of the Sabon wines. I thought they were both fantastic. This one is a blend of 70% Grenache, 20% Syrah, 10% Cinsault from nearly 70-year-old vines. Has a lovely complex bouquet, some roasted game qualities, a wild berry pie-like fruit, dried herbs, and a floral nuance. A little more classic, a little more old school, definitely, than the other wines. Very smooth and round on the palate, plump, ripe berry fruit showing, and a bit of that animal character, wild herbs and flowers, again, showing through on the finish. A little incense spice as well. Really forward, but has a lovely balance and lovely length on the finish. This wine will last another 10 years or more easily in your cellar. Most excellent juice. The Clos Saint-Jean Vieille Vigne. This wine is a little monster, a blend of 75% Old Vine Grenache, 15% Syrah in the mix, Cinsault and Mourvedre, spiced black kirsch, and kind of a mango note to the fruit on the nose. Hints of espresso, licorice spice, animal, sweet herbs, bright floral notes. Really complex bouquet of aromas here coming out of the glass. Thick and viscous on the tongue. This wine's got lovely ripe tannins, lots of spice, that sweet herbal and floral nuance shining through on the finish. Lovely length here in balance. Most excellent juice as well. Kind of a toss-up between which one of these two wines are better. Both outstanding. Maybe I'd take up the Clos Saint-Jean because it's cheaper. Okay, and then the Beaucastel. This is one of the classics of the Beaucastel of the Rhone Valley, Southern Rhone, still using all 13 varietals. And the blend here is usually predominantly Mourvedre. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the exact blend here, but like I said, it does contain all of the varietals that we have listed here. And it's got an incredible bouquet of dried flowers, exotic spices, dried meats, herbs, very rustic, a good amount of red and blackberry fruits, smooth and round on the tongue with long layered finish. Really savory and ripe tannins, making it really approachable. But this wine usually needs time. Surprisingly good at this young stage in its life, the 2009 Beaucastel. Killer juice, one of the wines of the night, and we still have some of that available. All right, on to the 2010s, the Chateau Saint Cosme Gigondas. This wine had a most unique bouquet. Really a lot of peppery spice, lavender floral notes, blackberry and blueberry fruits. It's a blend of 60% Grenache, 15% Syrah, 17% Mourvedre, and the rest Cinsault. Just an incredibly complex bouquet of aromas. That perfume and spice showing through on the tongue, that lavender floral nuance echoing through the finish, but really lovely acidity and lovely concentration in this wine. A spectacular effort for a classically fashioned Gigondas. Excellent juice here, and one of the values on the table without a doubt. The Roger Sabon Cuvée Prestige. This wine is predominantly Grenache, and it's got the other grapes, though, of Syrah, Cinsault, Mourvedre, Tourette, Cunoise, Vaccarez, and Muscardine in it as well. A good amount of exotic spice and floral perfume to the cherry pie-like fruit on the nose here. Kind of thick and liqueur-like even on the nose. Soy and Asian spice showing through. Wow, just exploding on the palate. This wine's got a firm hand of acidity, tannins, and lots of this exotic fruit. Just jam-packed, a classic style. Should last another 20 years or longer. Most excellent juice. One of the wines of the night. Well, we said that a lot. I'm going to say that a lot of times here for these 8 wines. The Domaine de Genasse Cuvée Chopin up next. This is a wine that I buy every year. 2010, a vintage that 98 to 100 points. What does that mean? The price goes up, the availability goes down. Well, we still got several cases. Thank you very much to our friends over at Selected Brands for taking care of us on these 2 wines, the Vieilles Vignes and the Chopin, both killer wines. And when you smell these wines in the glass, you could just smell the extra concentration and richness in there. The Chopin, a single vineyard, 100% Grenache wine, really rich and well endowed on the nose. Black raspberry, kirsch, licorice, a fresh bouquet of flowers, exotic spices, an explosion of those dark berry fruit on the tongue. Really jammy and just incredibly rich, but at the same time, this wine for 15 plus points of alcohol has lovely freshness and lovely balance and firm acidity. A wine for the ages. Really killer juice, as well was the Vieilles Vignes. This wine had also a complex bouquet, brown spice, soy, incense, licorice, blackberry liqueur, really complex and chewy on the palate as well. Seemed a little bit thicker maybe than the Chopin, but not any more complex. Both of these wines are equal in complexity, and this wine had just an incredibly long finish, and again, lovely freshness and balance. Most excellent, or killer, both of these wines, the 3 killer wines, the Beaucastel, the Chopin, and the Vieilles Vignes from Genasse, but everything outstanding on the table here. And you know, we had the peaches are in season, we had a little cobbler, so I figured we needed something for dessert. They do make a great dessert wine in the Southern Rhone, Muscat Baume de Venise, and we had Paul Jabelet's wine on this evening, the 2005 vintage. This wine is Muscat varietal, so you get that lovely aromatics you get from the Muscat varietal, lovely flowers, and this incredibly rich peach and like a lychee nut fruit here. Just incredibly rich, 15.5% alcohol, but fresh on the finish as well. This is a fortified wine, so it's got a little bit extra kick in it, but still really lovely balance in this, and wonderful with the peach cobbler. All right, well, that's what we had to drink at the Southern Rhone tasting. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.